Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that are on my fall TBR. August is around the time where I really start to feel like fall is closely approaching. It's when I want to start reading more cozy, sometimes fantasy books. But when I lived in Pennsylvania, that was definitely the case. Fall was on its way, but living in Texas, this is peak summer. So I'm hoping to read these books to try to get more into the mindset and just kind of get the overall atmosphere, because the minute I step outside my house, it is a harsh reminder that that is not the case. I also like doing more seasonal TBRs just because I think it provides a little bit more variety rather than having a set books that I want to read each month, just because it gives a little bit more leeway with whenever I do want to read them, because I do like to read based off of my mood. If I'm not really in the mood for something, I really can't force myself to read it sometimes, and I feel that this way it just makes me enjoy the books a little bit more because it doesn't put that pressure to read it within that certain time frame. So without further ado, let's get into the very first book that I want to read this fall. So the very first book on my TBR is The Academy by Ellen Hilderbrand. This actually is a book that she wrote with her daughter, who is Shelby Cunningham. This book comes out on September 16th, and this will be my first ever Ellen Hilderbrand book. This is a very drama-filled story following a year in a New England boarding school. At the beginning of the school year, the boarding school has just been named the second best in the country. This was a huge jump from where they were previously ranked. It basically just follows the drama-filled year that ensues. I haven't read any other of Ellen Hilderbrand's other books, but I know that a lot of people love them. I know that they are pretty summery, so I'm very interested to see how this one takes place. The premise does seem very fall and more back to school, which is definitely something that I like reading about personally. This could be a book that I might buddy read with my mom, depending on if she thinks it sounds interesting. So I'm looking forward to that if we do both read it together. The next book is something a little bit different from what I normally read, and this is Murder at the Pumpkin Pageant by Darcy Hannah. This is set in her Bake Shop Mystery series, and it takes place in a small town in Beacon Harbor, Michigan. The main female character is a baker who lives in a lighthouse with her Newfoundland dog, and it basically follows her haunted lighthouse that she lives in. I believe that the main female character allows her best friend, who is an influencer, to host a ghost hunting scheme at the lighthouse, and something goes wrong. I honestly haven't heard anything about this book. I saw it on Goodreads and I just thought that the cover looked really cute. I'll put a picture of it on the screen, but I feel like this would be a really good book to kind of get into that more spooky mood. This probably will be a book that I'll gear towards in October just because it seems more Halloween focused. I haven't read many cozy mysteries, but I feel like this could be one that I'll really enjoy. The next book is actually a series of short stories, and that is Autumn Chills, Tales of Intrigue from the Queen of Crime by Agatha Christie. I believe that this is a series of 13 short stories. I believe that this does include some other characters from her other series, which I haven't read any of those, but I'm hoping that I'll still kind of understand what is going on. All of these short stories are more autumnal mysteries, so I am just really excited to see what these are about. I feel like these will be very atmospheric and just really put you in a more cozy, spooky mood. I definitely think that this will be perfect for a rainy day with a good smelling candle, a cozy drink, and just curling up. I'm so excited to do just that when I do get around to reading this. The next book is actually one that I tried reading in the beginning of the year, but I did struggle with, and I ended up softy and effing it, and this is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This story is a dark academia mystery where it follows a group of theater kids in college, and they are very into Shakespeare, so much so that they begin method acting the play that they are casted in. And I know eventually it gets taken too far when I believe one of them ends up dead. I honestly can't say that I remember the most about Shakespeare. The most experience I have with those stories are ones that I read in high school. I do remember the basic names and some of the plot lines, but I know that other people that have read this have had less Shakespeare knowledge and still enjoyed the story. I definitely think that this dark academia will really set the mood for a more spooky vibe. If I'm not mistaken, this book is pretty similar to The Secret History by Donna Tartt, but I'm very excited to pick this back up. I hope I have better luck starting it this time around. I think before it was the beginning of the year, around February to March, so maybe that was my problem. I just wasn't really in the mood for it at that time, so I'm hoping that this time around I'm more in the mood for it and it goes better. The next book is a YA dystopian, and that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I have had this book on my shelf for an embarrassingly long time. I believe I actually got my copy at the thrift store for like $1. And if I'm not mistaken, I bought that back in either 2022 or 2023, and it is 2025. So it is been sitting on my shelf for a very long time, but I know that this book is so beloved by many and it is a very popular series. This book takes place in a world where everything has been conquered. There is no hunger, there is no suffering, there is no death. And so in order to control the population, teens are assigned scythes, and they are basically the population control. But this book follows two main characters that were chosen for the role of scythes, and neither of them want that life. They don't want this role. And so they have to grapple with the fact of what they'll have to be doing. And if they don't do that, they could lose their own lives. Really, that is all I know going into this book. I've had it on my shelf for years and have yet to actually attempt to read it. So I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, if I don't get to this year, I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. But I'm very, very excited to see what it is about, what goes on, and hopefully like it as much as I've seen other people enjoy it. The next book is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I'm going to be very, very honest with you and say I don't know much about this book. The only thing I know is that I saw Lexi, aka Newly Nova, really enjoy this book, and she explained this book as a fantasy dystopian MLM, which is a multi-level marketing scheme or like a pyramid scheme. So if I'm not mistaken, in this world where there is power, there is a sort of pyramid. So whoever is at the bottom, you're basically always having to give more of your power to the person above you who is more powerful than you. The chain just keeps on going and going until I guess whoever at the top has the most amount of power, because everyone is basically feeding into it. I believe our main character is sent to an academy to not only search for a secret weapon, but to find secrets and to potentially solve a murder as well. I believe with this, they are also almost trying to dismantle the Republic and the kind of power system that is going on. I am really looking forward to this book. I really don't know too much going into it, and I don't really want to know a ton going into it. I just want to kind of stick with my knowledge of an MLM scheme and go into it with that. But I know so many people have loved this and enjoyed this, and I am really looking forward to diving into it. I believe this is also more dark academia. The next couple books are ones that are a little bit different from ones I have just talked about. So next up we have Wild Card by Elsie Silver. This is the fourth and final book in the Rose Hill series. There's 3 books out so far. I didn't really care for the first one, but the second one was better than the first one, and I really enjoyed the third one. So I'm hoping to really enjoy this one. This one I believe is more of a grumpy sunshine. It follows a fire pilot, and if I'm not mistaken from the glimpses that we saw of our main female character in the previous books, she might be a yoga instructor, but that also might be very wrong. I'm not 100% sure what she does, but basically this is a forced proximity. They are both living under the same roof. They both have previous connections between this someone that they both knew. In all of these books, we've gotten glimpses as to who the next couple will be. And so in the last book, which was Wild Side, you got a lot of glimpses into this couple, and I am so excited for this book. It comes out in September, so as soon as it comes out, I definitely will be reading this. I am so excited. I have pretty much enjoyed a lot of Elsie Silver's books, so I'm hoping to really enjoy this one as well. All the covers of this series are so cute in my opinion, and I cannot wait to add the physical copy to my collection and have all of these books lined up. I think they're so cute. The next book actually is kind of 2 books in a way. So this is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This comes out October 7th, but this book is the second book to her book Bride. In Bride, you follow a vampire and a werewolf. It's a kind of sci-fi, almost fantasy romance, but it was Allie's first book in that direction. This is the second book in that series. I believe you're following the main female character from Bride's, her friend in this book, and another werewolf. I read Bride when it came out last year in the beginning of the year, so it has been quite a while. So I think with this book coming out, I do want to reread Bride, so that's kind of why it is 2 books, both Bride and Mate I want to read this fall. From the synopsis, it sounds like our main female character has a past that is coming back to haunt her, and the only form of protection that she might have is this clan of werewolves that will hopefully prevent her past from creeping up on her and potentially taking over her life. I love Allie's books so much. If you have watched my other videos, you know that she is one of my favorite authors ever, and so I think all of her books are so great and such a fun time, and I am so excited to read Mate. That will be her either 3rd or 4th book this year, which is so crazy. I don't know how she does it. She writes so much, and you can argue quality over quantity, but I think that all of her books that she's come out with this year have been very, very good and very, very well done. I don't know how she's writing so much in such a little time. The next book is Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. This is actually a book that I attempted to read last year twice, but I just could not get into it for some reason. I believe this book follows our main character, who is a vampire, but she is also a realtor. So she's trying to sell this house, but this house is haunted. And in order to sell the house, she needs to get rid of the ghost. So in order to do that, she enlists the help of this psychic, who's also the godson of death, to try to get this ghost to leave. I believe that also there are some other mythical creatures that come into this as well. I haven't gotten that far when I did try to read it, so I don't know too much about what the other creatures are, but I am really hoping to read this book this year. I feel like the concept and the overall mythical creature aspect is one that is perfect for the season. The only other book that I've actually completed by Olivia Blake was One for My Enemy, and I absolutely loved that one. I did try to read the Atlas 6 and I just could not get into it for the life of me. I tried reading it a couple times, so I hope that this isn't a book that is also the same case as the Atlas 6. I'm going to try reading it physically, but I'm also wondering if I should try listening to the audiobook and seeing if that works for me as well. And then the last two books are by the same author. I'll start with the one that is a reread, and that is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This book came out in 2017 and I read it for the first time in 2018. If I'm not mistaken, this book is about a human artist living in this fae folk world, and she is hired by the Autumn Prince to paint a portrait of him. But I believe that with that, there comes different challenges that are with working with the folk. When she's painting this portrait, she makes a grave mistake that can potentially cost him his throne, and so she's brought into this kingdom to stand trial for her crime. I honestly really don't remember a ton about this book. I read this book back in 2018, which was like 7 years ago now, and I was around probably 13, so I rated it 2 stars on my Goodreads at least, but I really don't remember why or why I didn't like it, so I'm hoping to give it another try this year. And the last book is A Sorcery of Thrones by Margaret Rogerson. I believe that this follows our main female character, who is in this library, and the library is actually alive. That's all I know going into this book, but I have seen quite a bit of good things about this, and I am very, very excited to read this one as well. Those are all the books on my fall TBR. My camera is about to die, so I'm kind of panicking. But if you guys have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye!